Well, don't forget that this week Leap is home to thousands of exhibiting brands, over 1,000 speakers, delivering over 600 sessions for 400 hours of content. Don't forget you can download the official Leap 2025 app on your Play Store and from the App Store. And don't forget to update your profile to make the most of the matchmaking facilities. There are 17 stages across these 4 days at Leap. And if you're feeling peckish, it's about that time. Grab a bite at the food festival with dozens of food choices and live experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your panelists. Mikko Lavanti, CEO, Saudi Arabia, Nokia. Dr. Suleiman Mirdad, CEO, Qlwa. Talal Al-Bakr, CEO, SCCC. And your moderator, the business journalist, Martina Fuch.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Masal khair. Hello, everybody. Great to be back at Leap. What an exciting first day. I hope everybody's having a great time. We have no time to waste here on stage with the three gentlemen here because we want to talk about the business outlook for these companies active here in the kingdom. And I would like to, first of all, give the mic to Mikko, who works at Nokia and is the CEO for Saudi Arabia. Let's start and dive right into the topic of your business outlook for 2025 here in the kingdom. You have such a long experience, Mikko. You worked in China, you worked in the Middle East, and now here in Saudi, where your regional headquarters is. How do you view the market here?
First of all, salam alaikum. I'm extremely happy to be here, and I would like to thank our host of allowing us to have the regional headquarters here in Saudi Arabia. We come here, of course, as a very long history as Nokia, but the outlook for 2025 is amazing. We are coming into the middle, of course, of the Saudi Vision 2030, where we talk about the AI, we talk about the cloudification, we talk about all the digital services, and nothing of this will work without the networks. And that's, of course, where we are benefiting for this year. So there are multiple national projects. So I start by talking about the WBB, which is the government investment on rural areas to help the rural Saudi Arabia to be also connected. We talk about the basically mission critical that was just recently announced for STC, that will actually connect all the government ministries in a secure way. We talk about the new C-band that has been allocated for the customers, which actually will bring the 5G advance and pave the way towards the 6G. We talk about the connectivity of all the data centers, because that will need the best optical network. So that's one of the things we are looking forward for here. And then, of course, we bring the AI in different ways. So, for example, last year, we worked with our Monterey product with STC during Hajj, and we built the best performance based on the AI, cognitive AI. And what we did with that one was we touched the network 100,000 times during the 3 days. So these are just some of the examples that we work on here, and I'll talk more about the regional headquarters later on, but I'm excited to be here.
Same here. I can't wait to expand my network here as well, 5G, but 6G. And before we go to the next panelist, I do have a question out of curiosity. 5G is not enough anymore. When is 6G coming?
Well, I told you beforehand, I have my own 5G product. It's my 5 daughters, 5 girls.
He has 5 daughters, so 5G, 5
And I have stopped production, so 6G is too much for me. But on the more serious side, so of course, the technology, if we see what is happening with cognitive AI, what type of things are coming to the enterprise sector, to security. So 6G will be much more about building the networks that sense, think, and act. So it will be much more towards the 2000, beyond actually the Vision 2030. And here in Saudi, of course, looking at the Expo in Riyadh, looking at the World Cup, looking at the Asia Games, so all of these will be places where we'll see some of the services that we cannot even imagine today. So that's why we need 6G.
I can't wait for 6G, not your 6th daughter, but 6G network. Mr. Talal, so great to meet you finally here on the stage. Now, SCCC is, of course, such a big player in Saudi Arabia. We see it here at LEAP as well. And the slogan of LEAP is Into New Worlds. So apart from the G networks, we also have AI, of course, which is a buzzword. How does SCCC enable AI in the private, but also the public sectors?
Thank you very much. I'm very excited about LEAP this year. We're seeing amazing momentum. As you mentioned, AI is at the epicenter of everything we're talking about today. Like Mikko talked about, AI has been used in real-life use cases today, and it continues to evolve. And as everybody knows, 2 weeks ago, we had an amazing revelation in AI, specifically with the announcement of DeepSeek and what it could do. And that was something very eye-opening to a lot of us. So we're seeing today that a lot of government entities and a lot of private sector entities are looking at using large language models in actual use cases. And we're seeing people more interested in not just the training of models, but actually getting tangible use cases that they can get outcomes from and that can really meet business objectives. So today we've sat down with multiple entities like the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of Sports. All of them are interested in not only in using AI, in getting quantifiable outcomes. And what we've been working with them on is we've been building these workshops where we really start to work on how to define the problem statement and then work on tangible solutions that AI can really address and can give them outcomes that may meet their objectives.
Now we move to the labor market as well. I'm really happy to see such a diverse panel here, different industries present on stage. Suleiman, so Qlwa is an online platform for the employment services. It was launched by the Saudi Human Resources and Social Development Ministry a few years ago. Tell us a little bit about your outlook and perspective on the Saudi labor market, which is constantly evolving.
Actually, again, thank you for having us here in today's panel. Actually, at the core of the 5G and at the core of the AI is basically skills. So skills is really the core driver of this event today, and it's really a change from where we were 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and we are today. So what we try to do at the Ministry of Human HRSD, is to make sure that we simplify the journey for both the talent to be acquired within Saudi or acquired from outside of Saudi Arabia. We've unified the journey the journey previously, a couple of years ago, used to be literally a journey. You either hire somebody to take you across this journey that could take from 2 weeks to 8 months to acquire a visa, get a work permit, and alike. Where the ministry runs in a very different model today, where we want to make everything for establishments and for employees totally transparent, protecting the rights of both entities, and ensuring that everything's a click away. So today, we don't use the policies to drive the sector. The sector actually drives the policies. So all the knowledge that we have today, we have approximately 1.5 million entities in Saudi Arabia that are registered within the portal. And we have about 11 million employees where their contracts is registered within the portal. It's basically the only portal that kind of protects the rights for both employees and employers. So we actually identify the policies, we authenticate the policies, the internal HR policies, we know the employee, and we can take this person through a journey from where he is today, where he wants to become in the future. And we're doing a lot of other services that we can talk about during the panel.
You know, I lived in China for 5 years before moving back to Europe, and I'm so impressed still by the Chinese, dynamic economy and the vibrant innovation and technology sector. And I see lots of similarities here in Saudi as well with the next generation. Which are some of the skills and talents that the Saudi young people can really bring to the table, and where do we maybe lack some skills still that they should develop?
I believe technology is being a skill that's not the same as it used. I used to live in Saudi, and when I graduated a long time ago, I actually literally migrated to the United States.
Oh.
And I did my master's in the US, and I did my PhD in the US, and I came back with an idea for a startup. I came to people to look at investments. Everybody told me, do you have a land? What are you selling me? I tell them I'm selling an idea. So I literally went back to the States, raised $115 million, and created a company there, regardless whatever it is. Today, the talent pool in Saudi is so different that the market and the financiers and the investors are coming through to Saudi. And one of the things we do in the portal itself is to cater to these businesses, the SMEs, in many ways. We connect startups with investors both nationally and internationally. And we do a lot of things to ensure that this local skill stays locally. And we also attract both foreign investments and foreign skills to Saudi.
Yeah. On that point, Mikko, I'm very surprised positively that Nokia decided to set up your regional headquarters here in Saudi and not elsewhere in the GCC. Where do you see the biggest potential here in the economy right now?
I think, first of all, I want to go back to your comment about China.
Yeah, because you lived in Shanghai for 3 years.
I lived in Shanghai, and my friends are asking, how does it feel to live in Riyadh? And I said, it's just like Shanghai 15 years ago.
Yes.
Everything is being built, everything is possible, and there is a very good kind of a government support for that one. And I think that kind of links me to the regional headquarters. So we decided, and I said it to the minister, that we are not doing what the government is asking for. We want to do more. Because, so we cover actually not the MENA region, but we cover entire Middle East and Africa, 70 countries from here, from the kingdom. And what are the things? Of course, I give you some examples. So we have been seeing more and more, unfortunately maybe with the geopolitical situation, that the countries need to build business continuity. And what that means is that the critical infrastructure, like the telecommunications part of the AI, and I agree with the human capabilities. So we have built our repair center here, and that helps us to basically be able to make sure that the networks are being repaired inside the kingdom. We announced last year that we have a plan of opening a hub. This year we'll tell that we are signing an MOU with SILS, basically to build the regional hub. So that is to move the logistic chain into the kingdom, but not only for the kingdom, but for the entire region. And that's a good example where the government was extremely helpful to run a logistics center. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of parts that we have to integrate. Some of them come from Nokia, some of them come from third parties. So it's not easy to have the export-import all these licenses, taxation. And I have to tell you that the support that we have got from all the government entities has been extremely good. Yes, I had some people in Finland who were saying, how can you run a hub from Saudi? It's going to be difficult. And my message was all the time, so please, we are expecting here to come and tell what it takes to run a regional hub. I want to go to the people. So we talk about AI, but I think it's human intelligence in the end. I'm so pleased. I see one of our ladies in front of me here as well. So we have been running now 3 years in a row. This year will be the 4th year where we cooperate with the local universities focusing on female engineers.
Yes, we need that.
And I think we need it. I mean, it's just amazing pool of energy, passion, skills that we get that way. And that has been the kind of a plan for us. So we see that this is an important element also for the local business continuity, as we are training local people to be able to know the technology. We look at beyond that. So when we talk about the AI, we have basically opened, we call it in Nokia, the Nokia monetization platform, but we basically opened our APIs, that is the software for local developers to develop services, location-based, security-based, that you can then actually, with our help, open to all the 500 major operators around the world. Again, another reason to be here. So I think I could continue with those, but it is, for us, it was a natural choice. This is the largest market in Middle East Africa. Here we have the Vision 2030 government who wants to push, we want to push. So I think it has been, I don't call it match made in heaven, but almost in heaven. So it is very, very good. I'm so happy to be here.
Finland goes Saudi. Ahlan wa sahlan. Great. Now, Talal, you mentioned the company name before, DeepSeek. What a surprise move a couple of days, almost weeks ago now. What does this mean for the AI landscape here in Saudi?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Yeah, DeepSeek really has challenged our thinking about what we can do with AI. I remember we had meetings almost 2 months ago. And we were talking about what is the potential for us to really train models. And we kept on getting hit with the assumption that there's no possible way for us to be able to train these kind of large language models because it would require hundreds of thousands of GPUs and the latest and greatest of these GPUs running for multiple months. And when you look at the big AI companies and their valuations, the majority of the cost elements about their valuation is actually utilizing GPU cycles. So DeepSeek really challenged our thinking around that. I was one of the people who believed that we had no real capability to really do model training. Now with DeepSeek and the approach that they came up with, it has opened up our eyes, it has opened up our mind that we can really do things in a different way. We can build robust models using very basic GPUs, but we have to really approach it in a novel and interesting way. And for me, that really opened up a lot of doors and a lot of reasoning. And why is that so critical? Because Saudi has been set up in a way where it can really leverage that benefit. It has been set up to adapt to developing multiple AI engineers and data scientists and having those skill sets there, in addition to having the AI framework and Saudi, Saudi Data and AI Authority has been empowered in really pushing this further. So what I believe what's going to happen here is Saudi is going to be able to play an extremely pivotal role in enabling AI because it has all the elements set in place. And the beauty about what DeepSeek was, it actually opened up our eyes that the future has not been written in stone. We can still develop, we can still innovate, and we still have a place and a role to play within AI and its development going forward.
Yeah. It was, of course, a huge disruption, right? Wake-up call, but this, of course, paves the way for new opportunities as well, especially here in this booming market. Now, Suleiman, when it comes to Qlwa, you also support the whole ecosystem here in Saudi Arabia, also SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about how you exactly support SMEs?
Since we work with the Ministry of Human Resources, we actually try to drive, as I mentioned earlier, the policies that the market needs. So large companies like Aramco would have different policies than small and medium companies than startups. So a number of things that we do for startups, we give them a holiday, for example, for the first year in terms of some of the fees that they have to pay for for acquiring talent or international talent. We give them some extra visas that they can actually do and before even kickstarting their company. We also connect them to finances from international organizations. So if you're a startup that needs financing from overseas, and of course, we do, for the market as a whole, and as we mentioned earlier, talent. Takamol also takes the knowledge of where the market is heading and what our key experiences are needed. And we know your personal experience as an individual that's registered in the market, and we can propose for you 2 different career paths. And we'll tell you, these are 2 career paths that match for you, and you can go forward with these specific training modules. And we actually can provide you in the future with the training modules that takes you from point A to point B to ensure that the Nokias and the Alibabas and the like have the talent that is required today and tomorrow. So we're not just only becoming a gateway that simplifies the process for the market, but we also try to gap both from policy side and from skill side, ensuring all parties are satisfied across the horizon.
Just out of curiosity and interest, how does the Saudi nationalization program impact Qlwa?
Actually, the national Saudization program depends on the sector you're in. So different sectors have different requirements for it. So the telecom sector, for example, at the C level, you require, for example, 75% Saudization. Cybersecurity could require a little higher because it deals with critical infrastructure. And in some areas, like in startups, we eliminate any Saudization requirements because they need to start their business. They might require some special talent, and that affects different organizations based on the level of maturity they are and the demand or the type of talent they need to acquire.
As an executive at Nokia, how do you source your talent? Is it locally, regionally, internationally, Finnish? How does it work?
So obviously, we are always complying to all the local requirements. And I think for us, there's 2 parts. So we, of course, have the senior leadership localized. But I think we see also extremely good opportunity bringing the young people in as well. So I think there's 2 paths in that sense. And I'm very pleased with both. I think if I look at the people we have in the senior leadership positions, the local people, it's important. What I would like to see more is that we would be sending Saudis to other countries as well. Yet to see that I get that working, but I think it would be important for the kingdom that you have people who go outside also to experience how is it to build business in a different country, because in the end I think we need export business also out of here. And then of course with the young talent, it's sometimes we are a little bit worried about if there's attrition that they go to another company. I'm not worried about that because people will always remember the first job, and when you treat them well and provide them opportunities. So this is the future, right? So you have to think about 10, 20 years in advance, and it's going to be great. Who knows who's going to be the CEO of one of the operators or in the future. So I'm sure that in the talent pool we have there's the future of the country as well. So
beyond the vision 2030, isn't it? Talal, of course, talent and skills is needed to also be able to remain competitive when it comes to the likes of DeepSeek as well. What other competitive solutions are you developing to really keep pace with some of those AI rivals?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. Now we're seeing a lot of hype words. Like, for instance, we're hearing about agentic AI and different use cases around small language models and in opposition to large language models. And we're seeing a lot of innovation around that. And right now, what we're seeing today, Saudis set up in a way, and maybe Dr. Suleiman is really contributing to this. When we start to get our fresh graduates, the university programs that we're building that have specific focus on cloud and AI and all of those things, and we start to really empower them and to go to the workforce. And once they go into the workforce, a lot of times we build very robust programs for them to really get them up to speed with the latest technologies, with the latest way and the methodology that a specific organization works. And then we start to complement it with trainings outside. So, for instance, we have a program with Qlwa Academy where we support the students and people to get their continuous education on enhancing their skill sets in AI, cloud, analytical elements, and different algorithmic elements. And what we're seeing here, as we start to progress and develop those teams, we start to bring them in to an organization. And we start to partner up with our customers. And what we do is we build a sort of semi-unique team or group of people, and we push them into the customer site. And what happens here, this team is filled with 3 different verticals, or 3 different criteria of people, if you will. So we have the experts who understand the AI, who are very well versed in AI broadly. We have the subject matter experts, and then we have the trainees. The trainees are supposed to really take that discussion further within the customer's organization after the experts and the subject matter experts and the AI experts leave the organization and finish the project. So it becomes a continuous development element to continuously enhance AI, not make it a one-off project, but an evolutionary journey that just keeps on growing and growing.
That's also a great way to retain talent, right, in your ecosystem. Now, Suleiman, of course, you mentioned some of the amazing numbers that you have at Qlwa. I think 13 million users, 10 million contracts, and almost 9 million visas that you've issued over the last couple of months and years. How is your company dealing with these amazing opportunities of AI, but also the tremendous challenges?
Actually, when we look at AI, it's really a nice buzzword, right? But we don't look at we look at what is the problem that we have. Do we have a real problem that we want to tackle with a certain model that we have? And actually, most of the systems today, we've been using technologies behind the scene without calling them AI. So one example that I already mentioned, which is how do we determine what is the gap in the market based on the data that we analyze, and how do we define the career path moving forward? Other models that are very important in transparency. We have a diverse set of labor laws, whether it's the how the telecom sector affects the labor law, how the cybersecurity sector affects the labor law, how the medical sector affects the labor law, in addition to the labor law that the Human Resources Ministry puts forth. Taking all of these, putting them into a model that enables transparency and equality and fairness to both the employer and the employee. So you have one option, either hire a legal firm. Now soon you'll have another option where you go to Ask Qlwa and you will ask it certain things about labor law, whether you're a company, how many Saudis do I need to have, like you mentioned earlier. I'm an employee, I'm going to take a vacation. And now since I want to leave the company, what's my end of service? How many months do I need as a notice period? Now, since we already authenticated the policies for that company, we authenticated your contract, and we know the policies of the country, we can actually come back with relevant answers that will answer you. We have a lot of also data that exists underneath the hood. I mean, we know everything about the market, about the labor, how many employees exist, how many Starbucks coffee shops are there, how many baristas work there. So this data is also provided through an AI model where you can ask it verbally certain questions, and it comes back with the right answer. So the idea is not to use AI, is how do we can utilize AI to bridge the gap that humans cannot do. And that's how we tackle it in Qlwa and in Takamol as a whole, as an organization.
at Nokia. Mikko, how are you embracing AI? To which extent? And also, how worried are you? What's your perspective?
So first of all, AI, of course, is not a new invention, right? So we have been working with AI in different fronts. So if I start maybe from like R&D work, right? So of course, we are looking at the large language models, looking at what can we do in the testing, what can we do in code creation. I think those are often a little bit difficult ones where you have to make sure that you are not breaking any patents and anything like that. But that is a significant area of course, where we are looking at how can we do that. We have what we call on the RAN side, so Radio Access Network, we have AI RAN Alliance. So we're working together with NVIDIA. I think we have SoftBank, we have T-Mobile US, where we are looking at how can we use the AI in improving the network performance, how can we create new services, and then some other aspects of the business side there. We are using in our managed services a lot of AI in terms of network planning and optimization. So networks, radio networks, need to be optimized daily. I already mentioned earlier what happened during HUTS with STC. So we had basically our self-organizing network solution was touching the network 100,000 times in 3 days. We estimated that to be equal to about 1,200 people who have done that one. We use it internally, so all of my business reporting is also done with AI. So I'm actually trying to get rid of my boss on long term by saying that look at the Power BI and you don't need to call me about the numbers. But that's what we have been able to do. And
yes.
I was very happy that we were, for example, in the last year, we were the best forecasted region in globally. And that basically is in a market where customers don't usually do forecasting. So we got our teams together with all the data points we have and the AI to work in that way. So a lot of things, and of course, I think it will continue just to go bigger. And I didn't talk about the business opportunity. So when we work with the local companies here, be it the CSP or in the enterprise segment, like companies like Aramco, so of course the whole opportunity is there on how we are going to be using it. So for me, it's just like maybe little bit so far compared to what we will see there.
Still way to go. Obviously,
Yes.
We're still at the very beginning stage of this massive transformation. Talal, if you could share some recommendations and tips for some of the startups maybe here or even established companies when they embark on their AI journey, what would you tell them?
Oh, that's a great question. Now, we're sitting with a lot of AI companies, and what we're saying today is the majority of startups and new companies, we're telling them you really don't need to rebuild the full model. There are a lot of pre-existing models that have already been trained. We have specifically Qwen from Alibaba Cloud that we have hosted. We use other open source models like Meta's Llama. You can also use DeepSeek. Cloud is also there. And what we're telling people is we have a base for you. And in SCCC, we have a platform called Platform for AI, which is based on Alibaba Cloud's Platform for AI. And it allows you to really go and utilize that element of utilizing a pre-existing model that's already been trained. You go and you fine-tune it and you define your use cases specifically on this trained model. And then what's more importantly is you build on top of it.
Yeah.
You either build your agentic AI use case, you build your data analytical use case, you build your assistant use case, and you leverage what people have already invested a lot of work in doing. What's very important today is AI today is broken down into two clear elements. You have the very deep model design element, and then you have the use case element and people who are defining use cases. So a lot of the startups that we're talking to are more interested in the use case element. And that's great, because what we're seeing today is the majority of GPU usages is going to be on the inferencing part, which is the use case element, not on the training element and building new models. So as we start to utilize that and enable that, we have that ecosystem set in place. We have a new huge order for additional GPUs that is coming into Saudi to address that. So we have that frame in place. So when you start to look at startups and what else do you need? So you need the pre-existing framework and infrastructure. You need a robust go-to-market strategy, a business case. So a lot of times, a lot of startup founders are very focused on the technology. They're not focused on the go-to-market element or the business element. That is almost as crucial as the technology element. Why? Because AI is in such a moving space that everything is changing every minute. So today, we have one unique perspective of doing things. Tomorrow, it's totally different. And we're seeing a lot of changes around that. So today, from a business point of view, you really have to analyze your business methodology, your go-to-market strategy, in order to build something that is robust for today, for tomorrow, and able to adapt to any changes that might happen, be it regulatory or be it from competition.
No need to reinvent the wheel, but maybe one word that we haven't mentioned yet is partnerships or collaborations, right? Maybe for a lot of startups, it's not easy to do it by themselves on their own, but really to team up with some other local, regional, and international players as well.
That's correct. Now, again, that's why we've launched the platform for AI. This is a solution that really enables the technology elements. At SCCC as well, we have a huge team that we're building right now for AI experts that will help people develop those models, build use cases, and hopefully also come up with agentic AI use cases that we're working on. One very important aspect that we're doing in-house is that we issue, within the company, we issue the mandate. Every division within the company has to come up with a use case for AI internally. And they need to present that. And we made it into we tried to make it into sort of a competition element and gamify it. And we put a reward element. The team with the best use case that will be presented, that the company will vote on, so the employees themselves will vote on, will win an award, and it will be implemented within the organization.
That's an amazing incentive. Winning awards and also gamification, I love that. I'm sure you get a lot of HR and job interest requests after our panel today. Mikko, you want to say something on that front?
I was actually thinking about that. We did just recently a Shark Tank with the same ideas. So we've asked people to come with the small ideas to bring them bigger. But going back to the collaboration, so couple of things I might say on that one. So Nokia's purpose today is that we create a technology that helps the world to act together.
Yes.
And one thing that what I look at from the regional headquarters is that we have a huge continent next to us in Africa. And I was reading some statistics that by 2040, we expect to have something like 10 million AI engineers coming from Africa.
Oh, amazing.
And what we are doing here, one of the things would be that I mentioned earlier that we open for the startups to develop APIs on the Nokia networks, but we are also looking for partners from Saudi to run networks as a service in Africa. So we did, for example, in Ghana, a 5G network, where I'm looking for partners from Saudi as well to make it bigger because, the digitalization of Africa is so important. And I think that is a market that I think naturally would fall into the business opportunities, the political needs, and all that type of stuff. So having there, so that's one of the things I'd be very happy to talk with anybody in the room. So open for cooperation on that side.
You will get a lot of interest and requests from the audience as well after that, I'm sure. And all the gentlemen are on LinkedIn as well. So Talal, Suleiman, and Mikko, you will get a flurry of LinkedIn requests after that. Before we go, let's also talk about the challenges. We've been painting a hugely rosy picture about the outlook for the business and for the Saudi economy as well. Where do you maybe see room for improvement, Suleiman, when it comes to the labor market or the Saudi economy in general?
One thing that we tend to do in Qlwa and in Takamol, we know what the market needs, what the market demands. This year, we're going to redo most of the services that we have, looking at the customer need, how do we simplify the journey, and literally move it from seconds to milliseconds, and how do we integrate with various components across the government and the private sector to make sure that we actually satisfy the demand. We're having many workshops across the kingdom with various stakeholders, large, medium, and small organizations, to reflect them both on the portal and on the policies. And that's the tricky part, where how can we be proactive rather than reactive to the market needs. The other issue that what's important is upskilling the labor market to be more inclusive in terms of the new technologies, specifically AI. The idea is not to become AI experts. The idea is how do we take specific problems and problems that we augment the current processes to include AI to make our life more efficient.
Yes.
So that's another area that I think will have a lot of work, both in Saudi and internationally.
Talal, where do you see some headwinds, some challenges in the next couple of years, maybe leading up to 2030?
Yeah, I think there are lots of challenges. The ambitions are very big. We're facing right now challenges with regards to customer expectation about what AI can actually do and what AI can't do. So right now, people have very high ambitions of what they're expecting AI to do. And a lot of times, we have to have meetings with the customers to really bring those expectations down to reality. And so that's one thing that we're seeing very important. Even though a lot of times it's very challenging, it's very interesting to find customers that believe so much in AI. Sometimes it's just not achievable with either the skill sets or the capabilities that we have today. And that's something that we try to bring down to earth, if you will. Another element that we're seeing right now is a lot of people are extremely scared of AI, that it will take their jobs away and it will replace them. And I think as much as we try to really reassure them and show them that today the state that AI is in today is complementary, that they shouldn't be worried, it's still something that's on the back of everybody's head and people are scared of. And the problem is when people are scared of a technology, they tend to find reasons why not to use it or to kill it, and that becomes sort of a big obstacle for adoption of AI.
Mikko, when it comes to challenges, is it the rollout of 6G, 7G, or AI? Where do you see the headwinds?
You'll be very surprised, but actually I would say that we have extremely big topic we have not discussed, which is the global warming.
Yep.
And I think when you look at this, the kingdom, and I see too much of competition between East and West, where actually the technology should be used to make sure that we get somehow this change under control. And I believe that the kingdom is in a unique situation between China and US, if I put it that way. And I would like to make sure that you help us to create a kind of a very good environment to compete fairly and make sure that the focus is on the things that really matter, which is on the long term, the global climate.
Collaboration is the only way forward. Thank you so much, Shukran Gazilan, Talal Al-Bakr, CEO of SCCC. We had Suleiman Mirdad, CEO of Qlwa, and Mikko Lavanti, CEO Saudi Arabia for Nokia. Reach out to these gentlemen. I'm sure they will reply to all your individual requests. We have another panel coming up shortly, which is a fireside chat with NHC's innovation as the backbone of growth, establishment, and transformation with me and Ryan Al-Akl, CEO of NHC Innovation. Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to our panelists and, of course, to Martina. Well, just a few ideas of other events which are taking place across the venue, across this afternoon. At the Ecosystem Exchange, Her Vision, Her Impact, a gathering of trailblazers. That's a talk by Saudi Women Leaders Network, the SWLN, a women-only networking session. Then at 20 to 6, Deep Media, that's in Hall 5, a fireside chat for you. It's called